Welcome back to the Last Week This Week podcast, episode 31. I'm Ian Scott.
And I'm Zack Huber.
And this is the podcast where we discuss nerd culture topics from the past week and this week. And yeah, this week we're not in studio if you're video watching.
Unfortunately.
No big deal. We're just going to be audio this week.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, we got a lot of stuff to go over with you guys.
Yeah, they'll all be in time codes in the description, but we're going to talk about what Bob Iger had to say about the SAG-AFTRA strike.
And all his properties as well.
We're also going to talk about two trailers called The Creator and then Pod Generation.
Well, and another trailer called Command Z.
Yes, I guess we'll group that in there. We also have details about Aquaman 2. And lastly, we're going to talk about the newest Secret Invasion episode 5, like we have been. So yeah, jump around to those if you want, but I guess we'll just jump right into it.
Yeah, sure.
What did you think about this week's episode?
I thought it was better than last week's.
I did too.
Yeah, I guess this episode, how did this one start off?
Oh, don't ask me that. I can't. I watched it when I was not feeling too good, so some of it I'm a little bit blurry on, so I can't exactly say what it started off on.
But yeah, I think this episode did a better job. I mean, yes, it was still probably a little too short for me, but
also spoilers.
Yes, also spoilers. But this one started off where Nick kind of followed the president to the hospital.
Yes. Yes.
And that scene was okay. I mean, I get the fact why Nick feels like he had to post up at the hospital.
Yeah.
But when Gravik comes in, when Rhodey comes in, I guess I'm just tired of like Rhodey having the upper hand all the time. You know, like he is just in every conversation. It feels like he's getting dogged by Rhodey. Yeah, and I'm getting a little tired of it. But you know, it's gonna probably lead up to the end where he gets the best of Rhodey. So
I would agree. Maybe.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know where it's going with him because he seems conflicted about Gravik too. Maybe, little bit.
But he's enacting all of his plans.
He is.
Yeah. And I guess that like conflict with Gravik, that was a big part of this episode where they got back from the big mission they pulled off, and one of his guys just immediately was like, hey, you're screwing up, man. Like we're not super happy right now. And just he immediately kills him.
Yeah.
Just like way out of left field, I thought, for Gravik, because this whole series for me, it felt like he had been like truly a leader of the Skrulls.
Yes.
Like I didn't like he let that lady walk in the council scene, and when she had directly opposed him, and now it's just like he's willing to kill anyone who gets in his way, and I'm a little confused at where that desperation is coming from.
Okay, so I guess I'm glad that I'm not the only one, because when I was watching the episode, I was thinking, why is everybody necessarily turning so quickly on him? Like, I understand.
Well, I actually liked how the people turned on him because he killed one of their guys. But
sure. But like so quickly, like it seems like things have now turned where like his own people are against him.
Sure.
And I agree, like he probably, I don't
could have used better build-up.
Know why he's so desperate, for lack of a better word, I guess. I don't know if I'd call him desperate, but
just way too aggressive. I mean, I don't know why.
Maybe it's because of like Gaia and like Priscilla and not following the orders, but
and
it never came across to me like that was something that was like he was very getting frustrated about. He was more like, it had to be done. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. Sure.
So that it does feel weird. I did like when they all ganged up on him. That was a pretty cool fight.
That was probably the best fight of the entire show for me.
Yeah, because I want to say later on in the episode when Priscilla and Gaia are like defending each other.
Yeah. It's okay. Yeah.
I'm sure
it was graphic to be graphic, I feel. You know?
Yeah, it was. That's another thing. There's so many knife and gunshot scenes where like there's blood. Yeah. And I'm like, should this be rated R? Like this is
I'm surprised at how much blood there is,
there's a lot of blood.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot. Which is not a bad thing. They
probably pushed the envelope.
I'm just curious.
With that
like
PG-13
this
rating.
whole series, like
Yeah.
I'm
Cut off
down with
fingers
it. It's just
and,
like I'm really surprised.
Yeah.
Like really surprised.
Gunshots to the head.
I don't feel like it is that serious. That's my main complaint with the show is that it doesn't feel that serious.
Yeah.
Like, as much as like,
sure, go on.
No, I want to.
Well, no, I mean, it wasn't going off totally of that, but it was going off of the scene of Priscilla and Gaia.
Yeah.
So, how did you feel about the whole funeral and everything? Like, I don't know. It felt a little dragged on for me, and a little like the culture seemed a little out of left field for me too, where they're like
saying the prayer.
It just like, basically doing like a Game of Thrones like. Fire to cremate them, right? Pyre, right? And then the prayers, and I was like, oh, okay. I mean, it's interesting. I think I kind of like it, but like we haven't really gotten any like scroll culture stuff before.
Well, but this is it.
Sure. Yeah. No. Yeah, I got you.
You just maybe are like, it's okay.
I guess I was just a little surprised.
Okay.
For all that to happen, but that's fine. It doesn't necessarily bother me. It's just like we've had 4 other episodes and a Captain Marvel movie where we didn't get really any scroll culture implemented to us.
Yeah,
so, I don't know.
I can see that.
Yeah,
it didn't feel weird to me.
Sure. Yeah.
So, I guess what I would also like to say about this show is, so at the end we get this superhero suit up bit, right? Where Nick goes to his hideout.
He's got cemetery,
multiple cemeteries, which in theory, that's cool. Yeah. That's a very cool idea.
Yeah.
The thing is that it feels like a superhero thing just because it's a superhero show or it's like a comic book character, and like
gotta put on the eye patch again.
Yeah, exactly. Like is it cool? Yeah, it feels like, oh, cool, he's got the eye patch.
It feels like it's what's supposed to happen, though, right? Like they're just following a formula.
But it's like, it really doesn't serve any purpose.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I get that, like, they're going to say, like, oh, it symbolizes something. I never once really felt like that.
Here's the thing.
But, like, with most costumes or with most suits, like, there's a functionality to why they have it on.
Right.
There's no need. He could just go get, I mean, I'm sure fine. He wants to get stuff from the safe house. It's just like, oh, I need to get my new leather jacket on. I got to put my new eye patch on. I just like it. You just could not, but whatever. It's like these things that are implemented throughout that, like the superhero isms and I don't know. It's fine. I
you
don't really need it.
But like, you had a problem with this earlier in the show, and I think it comes back to here for me is that, like, why did we follow Nick for 5 episodes without a fucking eye patch when it was never like explained to us, how he was really going through it, like what he was really struggling with.
Yeah.
Like it never got to his emotions in the show.
It still hasn't.
Right. And I'm just like,
Except
there's no reason for him to put back on this eye patch or for him to have ever taken it off. If at least it feels like to me. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little disappointing in that sense. I also, like, my friend Manny and I were pretty disappointed in the fact, like, his speech before putting all that on was like, this is personal. I can't call on anybody, like I got to take care of this myself. And
exactly.
Like, he didn't give a good reason. He was just like, I don't know. He just like, I can't rely on the superheroes all the time. That was pretty much his reason. And
which is kind of fine, but it's kind of like, bullshit because you did create the Avengers in the first place for instances like this.
Yeah, that's it. Like, exactly. It feels like it's breaking character for me, that he's wanting to do this all himself when he's always relied on others.
But yes, it's personal because he caused the whole thing to begin with.
Yeah.
Which is, I have so many questions as to who thought it was a good idea to collect every single DNA.
Why would you not just
every single superhero?
Send in power washers in there and just like power wash all the blood out of the ground.
But
I don't know.
He purposefully had scrolls collected
I feel
for him.
Yeah. I don't know why Nick felt like that was necessary.
Probably so he could make more or there's always going to be somebody who can be that, or maybe one of two things: A, mutants? Question mark. Hyperion? Question mark.
Okay.
But maybe this thing, Harvest, sticks around after Secret Invasion. If it goes away, if it gets destroyed in the next episode, I will be like, well, that was dumb. Why did you? And if they don't explain why he created it,
that's going to be so bad.
That is stupid.
Here's the thing, though, is
because it is stupid right now. Because I'm like, oh, that's, and it's also, I think it's in the shape of a bullet. So I swear to God, if somebody gets shot with that,
kind of looks like more like an arrowhead, maybe.
Okay,
yeah. But like the thing for me with that whole, like, like it doesn't really make sense yet until we maybe get a reveal. But like, I think maybe this also confirms when, like, at least we have a cutoff date for when Rhodey became a Skrull. Because for me, and I think I saw somebody else say this too, but like, if they got, samples of everybody who fought on that battlefield, then they would know that Rhodey was a Skrull then if he was. Like there would be purple blood on the battlefield. So to me, that confirms that he became a Skrull after Endgame. Like I feel like that's confirmation.
I hope they are a little bit more...
I agree. I want there to be a better answer than that, but I think that is an answer.
It's a loose one.
Yeah.
That's a lot of filling in the blanks, though.
I'm just saying, like, he would have known, right? If like they came back and was, or maybe the Skrulls hit it.
There's so much blood. How would you know?
Well, you can test whose blood, right? I mean, he got samples of all the, of everything, right?
And then they're like, oh, there was no Rhodey DNA. So who was Rhodey? Or maybe Rhodey didn't bleed at all because he's in a War Machine outfit.
Maybe, but
why would they?
They said
why would they
bled.
need his DNA? He's not super powered.
Sure, but they would have like accidentally collected it.
See, no, I don't know. This is
right. I mean, they would have just collected every blood sample they could have found.
Oh, there was a Skrull here. I don't know. Maybe.
Or you could, or if you don't want to say that's a good theory, then like you could just be like, the Skrulls hit it from Nick and was like,
sure,
right, yeah,
okay, fair enough.
So maybe it's not a definitive answer, but I'd like to think
they better in the next one. I would really like them in the next one.
I'd like to think that he's been a Skrull after Endgame.
Yeah, I do like the idea of like Gravik saying we're going to get the U.S. to bomb Skrullos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's another super radical plan.
Super radical.
Yeah.
But I do like that idea that he's... And it makes sense, like, what he's kind of doing, but it's almost too destructive.
But, like, somebody pointed out to me, too, that, like, the World War III plot, that alone doesn't really make much sense for the Skrulls. Because it's not like...
Well, because they'll blow each other up.
Well, yeah, but the Skrulls live on Earth. Where are they gonna go?
Well, they're okay with the radiation. That's why they're in that.
No, but like the initial, like they could, a lot of Skrulls could die from the initial just bombings, like not just the radiation.
Yeah.
Right.
I would also say, if you bomb everything, what is there to eat?
Yeah, I mean,
unless you have like food from Skrullos that can survive in the radiation.
Yeah, maybe.
Questions. There's so many questions.
So many questions. So yeah, to me, like bombing your own capital city to start World War III to maybe kill a lot of your civilization is like, it's not a great plan. But I don't know.
This whole show is just,
it's just not the most well thought out. But here's the thing: it's still
better.
It's better than some other Disney Plus shows, for sure.
But it's still, like, I think if you go back to, like, the first 3 phases, it feels more like a Thor the Dark World ish sort of. Not and I don't think that Thor the Dark World is, like, horrible by any means.
I think it's pretty bad. But I wouldn't say this is pretty bad, but I get what you're saying. It's like, it's a quality drop.
Mid.
Right.
It's like, okay, is this like, it's not reaching like highs. I'm not like, oh my God, I can't wait for the next episode.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's well, I got to do it for the podcast. I mean, I am generally interested.
I'm interested to see what happens,
but like
yeah.
only because I'm so invested in the MCU.
But
the
at this
roadie
point.
scenes are my favorite scenes. Like Don Cheadle does a great job.
He is doing
Even
a good
though,
job.
sure, you have the problem with him always ganging up on Nick and getting the upper hand. All the scenes are done very well.
Sure.
And he's always super cool.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
And creepy. So.
We did get 2 callbacks in this episode. To other properties. Maybe you missed
which
them.
ones?
So the pilot that Nick has. He was in Black Widow.
Oh.
The one that like gets her the plane at the end.
Right.
Yeah. And then the Widow's Veil that he used. That was from Winter Soldier, which I thought was a great keep using the old technology.
Yeah, I wish I would like to know. If we're supposed to know if that whose face he was using or if that was just some random person.
I think he just got some random Russian.
Because I'm always nervous that I'm like, oh, is it a cameo that I didn't know about?
Right, yeah.
Is it a callback to like a comic book creator?
I almost didn't recognize the pilot guy. I was like, that?
I was like, oh, this interaction's interesting. Why are we sticking with this for so long? And now this makes more sense.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so I think there was some cool plot building in this episode, but I don't know. I'm not super excited for the finale.
I give it like a 6.5, maybe a 7.
I would agree with you.
Yeah. Out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a 6. Maybe a 6.5. I don't know.
I like it a little bit better than the last one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But yeah, that's our review, right? For Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
So yeah, next we are in line with Marvel. We're gonna talk about what Bob Iger's been saying.
The CEO of Disney.
Yeah. So to preface, he came out, with a horrible statement the other day, saying that the strikes are overreaching and they aren't realistically they don't have realistic expectations, basically.
Right.
And he's making a boatload of money, and he could easily afford to pay these actors. I understand the industry is in decline, but there's no reason to be saying those kind of disgusting comments. And yeah, so I feel like, we wanted to say, obviously we both support the SAG strike.
Right.
And we support, these actors who there's like a huge population of the SAG actors who aren't getting paid, fairly because residuals are in the trash, because streaming services are not paying residuals at all, pretty much. And then there's also the fight against AI that they're trying. I mean, it's a lesser fight, but it's still an important one.
Yes.
And so I just wanted to say, obviously we support all of that, and kind of screw you to Bob Iger, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I would like to say, I don't know why I don't have my other notes that I wrote down, but anyways, maybe I have them at the bottom here, but no, I don't. Anyways, so I would like to say that I somewhat understand one part of what he's saying, and then for the majority of everything else, I don't. So he was basically saying that the writers and the actors are not being realistic about the business environment,
right?
And what this business can deliver, which I disagree with.
Totally.
But I do think that there is an interesting conversation to be had about particularly the residuals. If you want to talk about them getting pay increases, they should.
Sure.
I was watching a clip of Sean Gunn, who's James Gunn's brother, saying CEOs in the 80s made 30 times what the lowest paying worker got, and now that's 400.
Yep.
The other part, the AI, of course they don't want that. Of course they don't want somebody's likeness to be used forever
and then used for hundreds of years.
And then the scary thing about that is, if you are starting a working actor who is not very well known, is just kind of an everyday actor, and you sign away your likeness, who's to say that if you do that for Disney, Warner Brothers is like, well, you signed your likeness away to them, so we can't use any of you for any of our stuff.
Interesting.
They have your stuff.
I can't remember what show it was, but like somebody like the whole crew, like the whole cast, basically, those series regulars on the show, without being told why, we're told to do these like full body scans and like full emotion scans of their face. And now they all know, now they all realize, obviously, that this was for their digital library of actors, and they had no consent to it. So it's stuff like that. Like, actors obviously need this kind of protection.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess, I don't know if you sound like you had more to say about residuals.
I do.
I'm curious. Yeah.
So the old residual model, basically
was for networks.
They would air the episode. You would get paid when the episode was on. Mm-hmm. Now streamers have to not only license the show or movie or whatever, when somebody clicks play on it, they also have to pay the residual, which then if you have all of these shows that you have to pay residuals plus the licensing fee, that's why somebody like Warner Brothers Discovery took all those shows off of Max. And then, so I guess what I want to say is they do have room to maybe work with the studios on that bit, because it could come down to streamers just will not put your shows on and you won't get any residuals. And also the consumer won't be able to enjoy any of that unless they buy physical media, which it would be cool to have physical media back in some ways.
Sure.
But I think they do need to figure out because the way that I guess it's set up now is it's too high of residuals to be doing that. Like, it doesn't work for the streamers. So if they could figure out,
then, right?
Well, they have to fix it. But
because here's the thing, like for me, these working actors who, like, a majority of actors work paycheck to paycheck, and they're basically they're not getting a job like constantly. There's periods of time where they don't work, and so they're not on health insurance. They're not getting paid. And what used to happen was that they used to be able to at least pay their bills on these residuals. Right. But now it's like, well, I got to leave the career at this point to survive. And if that's the case, then like we're just going to see a huge diminish in the workforce for actors.
Yeah, I mean,
and we're probably already seeing it.
I think it's, like it's difficult. I mean, it's the same thing with the music industry. I mean, like,
right.
If you're not touring, and even if you're touring, like, I don't know how you're going to make a ton of money with that, because these streaming services pay such low, in music it's royalties, but with the shows and TV it's residuals. I feel for both of them, I don't necessarily know what the answer is to that, because as much as I want people to get paid residuals well,
right.
I mean, we are in a different era, and so you have to reflect that, with updated terms,
right?
Because obviously, like, that's not working for either one of them now.
Sure.
And I don't want a bunch of shows to just go away. And
no, I mean, a lot of shows are just disappearing because it's a tax write-off at this point.
Or movies.
Sure.
And so there's a ton of content that just because somebody could go into their analytics and see, oh, this isn't doing anything for us, we're just losing money, we're going to get rid of it. Sure. As opposed to there might be a niche community that like did like that, or was going to discover it or whatever, that it'll never happen. Maybe that'll be cool to have it go away, and you could have a resurgence in physical media, and people will like actively go out and look for things. But I don't want that. I think that's the antithesis of why the internet was made and all this stuff was made in the first place. But I mean, I think just to say about like what Bob Iger was saying, he's wrong. He's wrong.
Yeah.
It's a shitty thing, I think, and a thing to say, and I think also, I mean, I don't want to say shitty because he wasn't necessarily being mean about it. I think he's just wrong, like, because he said they're being unrealistic, but I think it's unrealistic for you. It's the same thing that with everything with like, with capitalism that's just gets out of hand. Yeah. Because that's not capitalism working. That's just the people at the top making a shit ton of money,
right?
And
everyone else is suffering,
and being like, why don't you guys work more?
Yeah.
Like, you guys should just work more, because we, So I think with the AI, I think with the insurance, I think with pay increases and all that stuff, he's totally wrong. With the residuals, I do think there's some room with that.
Maybe, yeah.
I just I think there needs to be something that gets worked out with that.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I think there's. But what did you want to talk about with the Disney properties?
I mean, but basically, he commented on all three kind of like major Disney properties: Star Wars, Marvel, and Pixar.
Mm-hmm.
With Pixar, he was like, the movies going straight to Disney Plus like really caused an impact in the demand for seeing Pixar movies. But he also acknowledged that they've taken some missteps with Pixar in the past few years, like movie wise.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like that is in line with them wanting to make more Pixar sequels, like Toy Story 5 and whatever else they have.
Oh God, I forget.
I don't know, but they're obviously going to be making a lot of sequels, I think, in the future.
Yeah.
Which is a little unfortunate.
Zootopia 2.
Sure, Frozen 3.
Yes.
Yeah. But those aren't Pixar. But yeah, you get it. And then with Marvel, he said that their increase in movie output and the introduction of TV shows really diluted the audience's focus and attention for Marvel,
which we talked about last week.
Which I totally agree with. I think if Disney Plus had never happened, Marvel's probably in a stronger spot.
Probably.
Right, because we're only getting like 3 movies a year, which is what we were getting before, pretty much, with Marvel. I think one year we got 4 movies, but whatever. And then, he kind of said the same thing with Star Wars, where they're going to be reducing, and along with Marvel, they're going to be reducing spending in creation of content for both properties. So I guess, Star Wars is already kind of like low on properties, I feel, but maybe, they do have a lot in the works. Maybe some of those things will be canceled. Maybe one of the 3 movies they announced would be canceled. I don't know. But I also feel like there's potentially certain storylines that I don't think are going to continue in the MCU, because I feel like they're going to try and shrink what they have going out,
What storylines would you?
I don't know. I feel like maybe Ironheart isn't that far in production, and they just cancel it. Maybe Eternals 2 isn't that far in production, and they just cancel that. Maybe they just scrap plans for a Thor 5. I don't know. Because I don't necessarily see any of those as like big, audience, attention grabbing movies. I feel like all 3 of those didn't do super well in their last outing. Or, I guess Ironheart was, she was attached to a very good movie.
Right.
But the character is famously unpopular. So I don't know. I feel like those are the directions they could go with Marvel, but yeah, just speculation, I guess.
I really don't know.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I think he's right about that.
Yeah, no, I think he hit the head on the nail. The nail. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That. He did that. Yeah.
But he kind of fucked it with the other. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all we want to talk about with Bob Iger. But now we're going to do our hypothetical. We hadn't done one in a couple weeks.
Yeah. So with Barbie coming out this weekend, and we were talking about the Barney movie in the works and a possible Magic 8 Ball horror movie and all these other movies that Mattel is thinking about making.
Yeah.
I posed the question, if you could make a Mattel toy inspired movie product, whatever, what would it be?
So yeah, I went pretty deep pull. I kind of like looked at all Mattel's products and was like, this one's neat. So it's called Big Jim.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, this is like an action figure type guy.
Okay.
He has a famous like karate chop, and he's kind of like a model, like kind of like almost a parody off of like G.I. Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the group they made around him feels very A-Team. So basically, Big Jim is the leader of the pack. Literally, it's called like PACK with like it's an acronym. I don't know what PAC stands for.
Mm-hmm.
But then he has his friend Big Jack. Who's an African American character, one of the first without racist stereotypes for a toy, so that's cool.
How so?
It just says here, I don't know.
Okay.
And then you have Big Josh.
Okay, are they all called Big?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
And then so he's just Big Jim with a beard apparently.
Okay.
And then you have Big Jeff, who's the Australian guy in the group. And so I think you could do like a very similar self-aware Barbie movie where like they are like starting off maybe in this world they live in, and there's just like huge like A-Team G.I. Joe set pieces where there's just crazy action. And then they figure out it's all not real or something. I'm figuring that's how Barbie's going. I guess I don't really know the plot too well for Barbie, but I just want like a self-aware, like kind of action version of Barbie, I think. And Big Jim is like fits it perfectly.
Yeah, I think that seems to be, at least with the Barney thing too, that it's got to be somewhat self-aware.
For sure. Yeah.
Because there's no way you can take some of it seriously.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So that could be cool. I don't know if they'd have to be like, it feels like it'd have to be a comedy.
What, the Big Jim?
Or like lean really heavily into like
comedy,
campy.
Sure. Yeah,
it's like Big Jim.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like it's got to like starring like Chris Pratt or something.
Yeah, I mean, make it the biggest action stars we have today.
Yes.
And it'd be great, I think. Biggest
action stars, but they have to have comedic capabilities.
Right. And so probably the reason you've never heard of Big Jim is because they only have the run going from like 72 to 86. So it hasn't been out in like 30 years probably.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a dead toy line, but it's a cool like cheesy idea.
Yeah. I like it. Do you remember Viewfinder?
Yeah, okay.
So not like I have a huge idea of what it could be, but maybe some like sci-fi tale, some sort of, this is the Viewfinder. You can look into the past. It can transport you. I don't fucking know.
You're kind of changing what a Viewfinder could do, right?
I guess. Yeah. I mean, because all the Viewfinder is like, oh, look at, we're in the Sahara. Right. Ooh, we're in the Arctic. Ooh.
Yeah. Okay. I think that would be it.
It's like
the
some
Viewfinder
sort of device
transports you to that location, like, and then you take it off and you're there.
Yes.
That would be cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like maybe time travel. Maybe it's like a time travel thing.
Yeah. Maybe
Multiverse is big.
Some old pictures you could do, and you just travel right back to that. That'd be cool.
Or like you view it through your own life. It becomes like a big story.
Sure.
Or not a big, Click. Like you remember Click?
Oh yeah, okay.
Something like that.
Yeah, get really depressing at the end. Yeah.
Oh man. That destroyed me as a kid.
Absolutely.
I was like, Adam Sandler is actually pretty good actor.
Right. Like it was funny in the beginning, and then you're like, this is pretty serious. This is some serious stuff. Yeah.
So maybe there's a cool idea there.
No, yeah, I totally agree. I think you could
make
go really cool with it.
Yeah. So that's my idea. The other idea I had was like if Uno was like a horror movie of some kind, but I was like, eh. And then I read that Mattel was apparently maybe going to make it like a heist movie.
An Uno heist movie?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know how that's possible, but okay. Yeah.
Because like, how would you work in like the reverse card, or how would you like draw four?
Yeah, what's
I'm going to skip you.
Yeah.
I'd love to know how that would work.
Yeah.
Or like it's some madman who's like, you're going to rob this bank, and only if with the instructions I have, and I'm crazy. Here, you're supposed to. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, he pulls Uno cards and he's like, the first four. I don't know.
I really don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm grasping.
It's interesting. I don't see that doing greatly, but
no.
Maybe it'll surprise me. I don't know.
Maybe the Uno cards are heisting something, like they're animated,
no,
personalized Uno cards.
I don't like that at all.
Okay,
that's even worse.
That is worse.
But yeah, I think that's the hypothetical for this week. Right?
Indeed.
Cool. So yeah, next up we got some trailers we want to talk about. The first being The Creator.
Yeah.
This we've already had a trailer for it, and I didn't think we learned a lot about or a lot more about it than we did in the past.
Yeah, not really.
But I thought it was
just
interesting.
More epic.
Sure, yeah, more epic, a little longer, I think. But I guess I was the most interested in the kid, I guess, because I feel like we got a little more details about that, where basically the sides are fighting to have this child as a weapon.
Yeah.
I don't think I realized that was going to be the plot. I think I just was like, oh, is the plot whether he like decides to kill her or like keep hiding her from the AI or whatever. But then we also got a lot of like personality attached to this kid. I feel like I got for the first time I got the sense that like this kid AI would help the other side if they were kind enough, or like I don't know. She seems to relate a lot maybe to the main character.
It seems like the character, the kid wants to make the machines free, but also
has a like soft spot for the people.
Yes.
Yeah. So
it seems like
I like it.
The creator is a true, like I was talking to somebody about how like I guess a true AI would be something that, and I'm not saying that this kid would necessarily reproduce.
Right.
Maybe when they get older, I don't know, but like a true artificial being would have the ability to reproduce and grow. And this kid seems like they said it's growing.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's like some sort of tissue.
So it's like the first
synthetic,
true AI of this world, probably.
Right.
Okay.
And also seemingly very powerful.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it's your favorite kind of thing with
totally.
the protector and the kid. And,
yeah. And we also got some other details about the movie recently. One, that it's only being shot on an $86 million budget.
Right.
That's insane to me.
I would say if you haven't seen this trailer, go watch the trailer.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want. I guess if you really don't want to know anything,
then just watch the first one, maybe.
Yeah. But just like trust us, like it looks incredible.
Yeah.
It looks like it was something that you would get from a $200 million movie, and it's only shot on 86 million, which is kind of insane. I hope the rest of the movie holds up, but
I think the reason it looks so good is because another piece of news we got is that Greg Fraser is the cinematographer behind this movie. And he did The Batman, he did Dune, The Mandalorian season 1.
Okay.
So he's, an incredible cinematographer.
Right. And the shots look
they look
amazing.
Great. Yeah.
And it does look like the big, also visceral, like war epic scenes that we got in Rogue One.
Yeah.
And you
totally.
You see it here.
Yeah.
And there is like there is like a scale to it that is it's just great. It looks
totally
great,
intimidating almost. Yeah. And then the last piece of news we got about it was that the score is being composed by Hans Zimmer.
Which I mean, you got the GOAT. I mean, he's not the GOAT. I guess John Williams is the GOAT. But he's the new age GOAT.
Yes. Yeah. And here's the thing. This is like a crazy great trinity of creators all coming together for this super cheap sci-fi movie. I mean, I'm just shocked about it, and it all looks great.
And to be honest, when I clicked on the trailer, it had like 7.5 million views.
Oh, okay.
Which is like, because I clicked on it today.
It's a good amount.
And I'm like, for like a movie that really is not attached to like really any super big names.
No, it's not.
Or has any sort of franchise at all. I was like, there is somewhat of a building.
Sure.
There's an interest around it because it looks great.
Yeah. And I don't doubt if there's a little more marketing for this movie, like it'll double what it spent, like at the box office.
I hope,
at least. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it looks emotional. I think it looks thoughtful, and I also think it looks packed with action.
Oh yeah.
But we'll see, because that could just be little bits throughout. Because I still think it'll probably be more of a thoughtful movie.
I agree.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
And I guess I won't give away like one of the things that they talk about, just in case people don't want to watch the trailer. But I do like the logo. Kind of, I know it's a small thing, but the logo kind of reminds me of like a sorry, where I'm so sorry. It kind of reminds me of like The Exorcist, but it also reminds me of Stephen King novels.
Interesting.
Where it's got like this almost Times New Roman-esque font, and then it has these like just single white lines like highlighting it. I think
it's like elegant but simplistic.
It looks like a book.
Sure.
Like logo,
no,
which
I
is
agree.
cool.
Yeah. I mean, the posters too have like, that could be a book cover too.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it looks like a science fiction book.
Yeah.
You know?
I wonder if it's
based off of,
because I know he wrote it, the director, like of not the book, obviously, or whatever, if there is a book, but he wrote the script. So, yeah. Or he, and he co-wrote it with the guy he co-wrote Rogue One with. So,
right.
So
it looks amazing.
And with all those people attached to it, I don't doubt it's going to be great. So
we'll see.
But see. It's hard for me to think this is going to be a bad movie.
I hope it is. Yeah. I really want it to be good. No.
No, I got you. So the next trailer we wanted to talk about is Pod Generation.
Yes. Now, apparently, Ian doesn't like this one as much as I do.
I still think it looks cool.
Okay.
You just thought it looked amazing. And
I do.
Like, I don't think it looks amazing.
I think, okay, so here's my thoughts. I think this is exactly the kind of sci-fi movie material, just a movie in general. Doesn't have to be sci-fi that we should be getting at this moment. I feel like it's a perfect blend of like the movie Her, a rom-com, and Black Mirror. Like it's this perfect marriage of this. I feel like just from the trailer, it's extremely well thought out as to why this is happening and why and the forces that have caused it. So basically, the premise is that there's Emilia Clarke and Chiwetel Ejiofor are like a couple, and everybody's having these babies in these pods that, basically it's presented to everybody. Here's your way to have a having a baby is inconvenient and gets in the way of your life. So why don't you have this pod that you just sit on the counter
and you get to go to work and
you get
not
to go
be
to work,
affected.
And then maybe when it gets closer to like needing to come out or whatever, I feel like it's ingenious design to have it like a harness that you put over your stomach. You can put a sweater over it. Looks like you're pregnant, right? It gives that illusion, but it's all based on, I feel like this idea of like capitalism, consumerism, like basic, like that scene where she's walking on the treadmill while she's fucking working. It's like this need to get everything done. Why make this like human life? Let's take technology, make it so that nothing is inconvenient to us, but taking away all the human element and making it like sterile. And I feel like it's great commentary about not only something that we're constantly dealing with technology being made and people. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but it's just like it feels very much like a conversation that could be happening in the future, and not necessarily that's going to happen. But I think it's a great. I don't know. I just love the concept. I love the design of everything.
And I agree with all of that. I think like that's a great concept. I guess for me, it's like yes, they are troubled by the fact that they are like forced down this path. Yes. But to me, there isn't like a real sense of conflict in the trailer. Like I don't get who the conflict is going to be against. Or if it's just going to be those two conflicting with each other.
I think it's going to be all of that. I think he wants, I think it seemed like he wanted to have a natural birth.
Right.
And then maybe there's going to be a conflict of like, well, he eventually caved and got that. So there's this conflict between Amelia Clark and him.
Yeah.
You'll have the conflict of like, well, maybe we were trying to have it, and then everybody's like, why would you have that? Conform to the norms. Have this synthetic baby. The trailer starts off with her being like, I had these dreams, and then her robot, her AI was like, dreams are not a determinative way of interpreting the world.
Right.
And then later on in the trailer, one of the guys who has a pod baby is like, my baby's not dreaming, and the lady's just like, oh, it's probably nothing to worry about.
Yeah, it's normal. Yeah.
You know, and I think there's going to be conflict with. I just think there's going to be a conflict about like, there's not necessarily like a foe. It's just I guess that's my thing. Like, I guess for a movie, I would like it to be a little more intense, a little more like thriller-esque. Because here's the thing. I think this translates a lot better to a show for me. Have you seen Her?
No.
Okay, you got to watch Her, and then you'll get what I'm talking about. Like, it's an emotional thing. Like, that's why I say rom-com. It's not going to be. There could be maybe somewhat of that element, I don't know, of the thriller element, but I think it's more of an emotional science fiction. Like when I saw, what was that movie? There was a movie on Apple that came out a while ago, maybe like 2 years ago, that had Mahershala Ali, and it was a science fiction movie where he was dying, and so he had the ability to make an exact clone of himself. His family would never know that it's not that he died and this new person was made that's exactly him and has the exact memories and thinks that he is the person. And there's a conflict there, but it slowly turns into more of an emotional story.
Interesting.
And so it's not like there was a lot of action or anything like that.
Right.
It's this thoughtful, like, more human experience.
Yeah. I guess maybe I'm wanting more of like I don't even know if that's like the right comparison, but like an Ex Machina, where like like that kind of intensity.
Sure.
Because I think that movie does a great job of like setting up this simple concept and then like going on a run with it. Whereas I feel like this has a pretty cool concept, simple in itself, but like it doesn't like take that big leap, like I guess storytelling wise. So I'm curious to see if it's as good as you think Her is. But
I'm not going to say that I think it is before seeing it, but I think
I just meant when it comes out
with what Her is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think
it looks good.
I think you should watch the trailer if you're listening.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. The last trailer we wanted to talk about was Command Z with Michael Cera.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I will agree with you. We talked about this before the podcast, but the movie isn't filmed super well. It looks like a very comedic, low budget kind of sci-fi movie.
Sure.
But I'm all here for that kind of movie, and I think the concept is very cool. Like I like the fact that basically the concept is that they're in the distant future, and they realize that the point of like no return for humans was in 2023, and they have like 3 people he's sending back that basically time travel into somebody else's conscious, and
this is a show, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah, it said the new Steven Soderbergh series.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's probably even better, to be honest. But yeah, basically, they travel back and they trick the people they've I guess gone into by saying that they're conscious.
Yes.
And they I guess get to affect those real world events without having to be there. And I think that's a pretty fresh concept for time travel. I can't say I've seen that version.
No, that's true. I think what really takes me out of it, though, like there's all these great ideas are there, but it's the execution that feels very weird and off, because so he's like, I made a wormhole. The wormhole is in this washing machine or this dryer. And it's set up and framed like it should be a Wes Anderson sort of thing, but it doesn't feel like that quirky sort of thing about it.
I feel like it was just, it was trying to do the the DeLorean, you know, and Back to the Future. Do something.
I agree, but it was like
weird.
You have to wear this weird thing, and you have to touch it at this exact time.
And you have to take acid, and you have to play this song.
Exactly. Right. And I was like, but it doesn't feel like, it feels like, it just felt a little forced, and some of the jokes felt flat for me.
Okay.
And again, like, I think some of the camera angles, I wish they could have maybe gotten more close-up shots or something, because they're all like from a distance, and you can kind of feel like it's
a set.
It's a set.
Yeah, sure. The basement they're in feels like a set. I'll give you that.
But the general idea is cool.
Yeah, and I like Michael Cera's comedic acting in this. I think it's good. No, you didn't think so?
I like I know Steven Soderbergh is, and I think they have a great cast. Like Roy Williams and Liev Schreiber is also in it.
Oh, cool.
But and there's also a woman from Succession that you'll see later who's in it. But Steven Soderbergh, like, I know he's known for making these scripts and shows and movies, or at least movies that are fairly self-contained,
right,
in just a one room sort of one place storylines. I can't say that I know if I've seen any. I know about a few, especially some that have come out more recently.
Right.
But am I interested? I might watch it. I might watch it with you if you want to watch it. But it just seems a little like, I'm just so
like a little too campy for you.
Not too. No, it's just not. It's just I think it's cool. Like, go make this thing, even if it's low budget. Who cares about what I say? Because I'm not fucking making it. It's not like I could make it any better. What if I try to make it? I don't know. It might be horrible. But it didn't sell. It doesn't sell me from the trailer. But maybe if I watch it, I'll be like, oh, okay.
You get it, right?
You know, but maybe it'll do something for me. But like the bit where it's like, and I went out, and then I think the dude like is gonna die from crossing the street now.
Right.
I was like, I know that was supposed to be funny, but it wasn't. You know, like all the funny bits, I was like, ugh, it's not funny.
Well, we've had some different opinions on trailers today.
Yeah,
but all good. I think that was the last one we wanted to talk about, right?
I still think you should go check it out if you want.
Yeah, did it have a release date at the end? I don't remember.
I don't. Yeah, I kind of was like,
same with the creator. I don't remember.
Huh?
That's this year though, right?
The creator. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I think even the
pod generation
is this year.
Yeah, I think you're right. But yeah, check out all those trailers. We think they're pretty cool. Even if Zach doesn't think the last one is,
I think it's a cool idea.
Yeah,
I truly do.
No, I gotcha. But yeah, we have one more topic to go over with you guys today, and that's some Aquaman 2 news, Lost Kingdom. So we got some big confirmations that there has now been 3 reshoots for Aquaman. And the third one happened a few weeks ago, I think.
Oh, yes. You're right.
So
I'm thinking about something else.
Okay. So the third one apparently was, approved by James Gunn and Peter Safran, and apparently they're in a more positive spot after filming. Apparently it took only 4 days when it was scheduled for 5.
Yeah.
Right. But the other news about the reshoots, all the others, is that this movie was being made while it was under 3 different studio heads.
Yes.
And so the first one, the ending, or not the ending, but the first movie included a Batman with Michael Keaton,
which was supposed to be like a Nick Fury-esque,
right,
popping in and like Batwoman, and then this movie and
right,
the Flash.
Because Hermata wanted that kind of a character going forward in that universe, which I don't blame him. I think that's a cool one to have. But
it was all the having to move it because of the Flash, and move it because of this, and move it because of that.
Right.
And I think it's so interesting. It test screened badly.
Yeah.
So then they took it in for reshoots.
Mm-hmm.
It test screened worse.
Yep.
And then
it test screened worse after they did the second Was it? I can't remember. It was after the reshoots they did, where it was under this heads that were like the interim heads before James Gunn came in.
Right.
That's when they added, I think, Ben Affleck's Batman to it.
Yeah, and then so they had Michael Keaton's. They took him out, then Ben Affleck, and now he's out.
Right.
And now I guess
there's no Batman.
No Batman because Gunn and Safran don't want to promise a movie universe that will not come to fruition.
And I get it. Like to me, I think this makes complete sense because we've had multiple conversations where we're like, why is I keep saying Michael Keaton. Why is Ben Affleck's Batman like in this movie? It makes no sense after The Flash. And I think, just keep it in its own little corner of the DCU. And maybe if it does well enough, it'll be included in the new universe. I don't know.
I mean, I know it said Gunn is said to have weighed in on the most recent cut.
Right.
And, you
he's
said
the
that
reason why
went
there's
well.
no Batman on it. So,
which, is it super important that Batman's in it?
No. I mean, I'm sure he was going to be in it for like 5 minutes.
I don't know. I really don't. But also, I would say it was greenlit at a $205 million budget.
Yeah, with 3 reshoots.
Shot during the pandemic.
Yeah, so it was more than 205 at that point.
Which was a burdensome expense. Additionally, every frame of the movie involves visual effects.
Yep.
Another major cost. And the reshoots have only raised that overall budget.
So it's probably looking more like 300 million at least at this point.
Maybe. It could be like a 250 or less.
Maybe.
Or more. But this movie is not going to make money. Most likely.
It's not going to make a profit. No.
Even though Aquaman made $1 billion. I mean, okay, I'll take that back. Maybe it could because of that. But because every other DC movie since Aquaman or maybe Shazam has not made a profit, I just don't know if I see it. Because I
don't see it either.
I like Blue Beetle. You and me will go watch it.
Sure.
But I don't think anybody's
I don't think that's going to make a profit
going
either.
crazy about that movie
and I think
either.
that has a chance. Actually, I would say that probably has an equal amount of chance of doing as well, because I will say Aquaman is their best performing DCU movie, like at the box office for that whole franchise.
Yes.
So there's clearly a lot of fans of that first movie, and I think there's a lot of overseas fans. I think that could help it at least break even. I just don't see a world where it makes a profit. I don't know. They're all struggling, so this won't be much different.
No, and I mean, I'd love to know how the reshoots made it worse. Like, what did they put in it?
Yeah.
What did they do?
Because it was already one of the worst screened movies they had at the time.
Like, I know earlier when we were talking about this, I was like, give it a chance. Like, this is seemingly like not great.
Oh, also, I heard from the director that that the movie, he said that the movie has something to talk about. And I think he's referring
climate change.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, a part of Jason Momoa's script actually got in here because he was the one who wrote climate change,
I think there is some sort of idea in somewhere in this whole thing, which, like, look, it seems like a goofy thing, right?
Sure.
I don't think that it has to be handled goofily. I think it's just
and it's not like we're saying that we don't believe in climate change or anything, but it's just goofy for a superhero movie, I guess.
I get in the way that we're thinking about it.
Right.
Like, it's just, it's just something about it. It's like, it's even because, like, to talk about like, anti-capitalism is like kind of like hot and sexy. Like, climate change, even though it should be treated like it's even more impressive, is always like treated in ways that seem cringy, like, oh my god, I love the trees, I love the water,
right.
But like it should, maybe there's a better way to do it. But like, you're just like, most of the time when you see it, you're like, oh, I'll take this soda can wrapper off of you little fish, like, or you turtle, like,
right.
It's just, but I don't know, but and even like, it was interesting in that Secret Invasion episode, like, I'm not necessarily saying anything bad about it. It's just like weird things, like Olivia Colman's character, who I like a lot, but she was like, oh yeah, the men in the the guys in my species are also like, they'll gaslight you and
threaten you with murder
and all this stuff. And I was like,
okay,
interesting. Like, I get it. Like, guys do suck, but like, it feels weird. Like, I get it. It's just, I don't know. Like, it's a weird.
It's a part of that kind of agenda, I feel,
because that was the first time that I was like, well, okay, that's a little weird to be going there.
Sure,
I guess.
But we're two guys, so
that, I mean, that's another thing. Yeah. But you're not wrong, but it's just it's a weird thing.
No, I agree. It is weird. Yeah.
But I don't know. The climate change thing, I guess maybe there'll be like an oil spill and
hopefully it's not this big court drama where he's fighting climate change.
That's like, okay.
I don't need that.
I don't need Aquaman going in with a suit.
Right. Or what if he? I would probably prefer him to just have like his actual suit, like Superman did in Batman v Superman.
Or just.
But yeah, no, I got you.
Or no,
it's cheesy anyway.
Just like like, I don't know, if he's going to be in court, just have him wear like whatever Arthur Curry normally wears, not his suit. That would just be weird.
Yeah. But I think that's our thoughts on that news from Aquaman.
Yeah.
It's apparently, the fact that it's in a better place, that's good. I'm happy about that.
But what does better even mean?
I don't even have I don't have much hope about that though. No. Like it's probably not gonna be super great, and
we got our last Ben Affleck Batman.
Yeah, and probably Wonder Woman as well.
Yeah,
yep. So that's the end of the DCU and the end of our topics for today.
Yep.
But yeah, this is the time where we usually talk about what we watched the past week. Did you watch anything cool?
I just watched Silo, like more of Silo. So, and I don't really feel like I should go into detail about it other than it is really great science fiction, and not even just science fiction. It's just really great thriller, mystery, drama, sort of interesting. Like, I meant to mention this. Silo is like, when you would play Fallout and you would go into one of the vaults and you could kind of learn the story of what happened in the vault.
Right.
It's basically a really fleshed out, really one of the bigger vaults that you go into that you get like a whole understanding of like characters, but like it's that show.
Right.
So you get to understand what happened during it.
Nice.
Because it is essentially a vault.
I like that.
Yeah. So.
And they are making a Fallout show, so maybe it'll be similar to.
Oh my God, I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Well, hopefully.
The sets look really good. I'll say that.
I didn't even. They have set photos.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there's like a vault and everything they have. So
it's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
I think that was it. Unless you like remind me of something. I don't know. We didn't watch anything together.
We watched an episode of Black Mirror, but that was it.
Oh yeah, we could talk about that.
Sure. Yeah.
If you want,
go for it. Yeah.
Well, so if you haven't seen Black Mirror, it's called the USS Callister, and it's the first episode of season 4. And Ian had never seen Black Mirror before.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people would maybe say watch the first episode of the first season, which I would agree, but he really didn't want to be grossed out or anything. So I thought this was like just a great. Another episode would probably be like the first episode of season 3, I think, or maybe 2. But
no, but this was really great because it was a play on Star Trek, and it's called Space Fleet, but it also had two great actors, Jesse Plemons and Kristen Milotti. So yeah, it was almost like a movie length episode.
Yeah,
but I think it was like just the right amounts of dark, and it definitely threw you for a twist like really early on.
Yeah.
And I was really happy with it.
Yeah. And they really like get to play up the Star Trek-ness.
Oh yeah.
Like a lot.
That opening scene is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels like Star Trek. Yeah.
It's so funny, like, because I am watching the original series now, and it's so funny to just be like, when he's kissing all the women on you're just like obviously it's not that excessive on the show, but like
it's got those vibes.
But Captain Kirk makes out with a woman like every 2 episodes.
Really?
Maybe
Okay.
every 3 episodes he kisses like
Well, I mean, he's
somebody.
the captain.
It's just so crazy when like you look at Jean-Luc Picard and it's like he's very reserved
right.
about any of that. And so when it happens, you're like, oh my God.
Wow. Will
but like
Shatner's
with
a
Will
different guy.
Shatner is
Yeah.
like every woman, and every single time he shows up to a planet, like there's always like
some really hot alien.
really hot like person, and the light like gleams on them and they like look at him and they're like, oh, and it's just like, I love that they played into like how and also
how misogynistic
there's a lot of misogyny.
Yeah, right.
As much as I love the original, there's a lot of misogyny.
Sure. But yeah, I think, is that all you watched this week? I think. So on my end, I finished Succession season 1, and started season 2. So spoilers for Succession if you haven't watched any of it. But we talked a little bit about this earlier, but amazing finale. I thought the finale was going in one way, and then he got in the car with that kid, and it, blew my mind what happened. The car crash and him walking back and breaking in and trying to act like it never happened. Him coming out and dancing with his kids was kind of horrifying almost.
When it crashed, like what do you think of him? Like what do you think of that situation? Like I'm just curious. Like he did get coked out with the guy, right?
He actually didn't snort anything yet because the guy had ket and not coke.
Okay. But like, and then something happened where did he crash it? Was he driving?
So
I forget.
He basically they had some weed together, and then he was driving, but he never drives because he's rich.
Yes.
And it's a stick, and he doesn't know how to drive stick.
Right.
And it was dark. And there was a deer in the road, and the kid, he's like, watch out, and like yanks the wheel, and that's what causes him to go in the water.
Right.
So it's not his fault technically.
And he does try to go after him.
He does.
And now I'm not defending him because the whole thing is terrible.
It is.
But I do think that it would have been very easy to be like, oh, Kendall, you fucking shithead.
Yeah. No, because here's the thing. Him not calling the police,
that was a problem,
is pretty bad.
But he was like, wanted that deal, and that was not going to happen.
And I agree. Like that is why he did it. I feel like if he was in most other situations, he's calling the cops probably. Yeah. But it was the night before the big hostile takeover.
Yep.
And he couldn't have that.
Nope.
And yeah. So I said to you, I don't think this came out of the blue. This drug problem he had was throughout the entire season.
Yeah.
And it just came to a head. The season 2 has been great so far because, there's Kendall who's just acting completely different because he's just a beaten down dog. And he's making moves that he wouldn't normally to get his dad's trust, like shutting down Volter, which was pretty ruthless. I kind of liked Ken doing that. But then you also have the fact that Shaban is, the new CEO. He's named her in secret.
Yep.
And, although it does feel like he's warming up to Kendall again. It feels like he's on a track to be CEO again. So I'm curious to see if that comes to a head. But I got to that episode where they're in the Hamptons and, they basically have a rat, he thinks, inside the family. Mm-hmm. And so they do that like bore on the floor game.
I was literally just about to ask you, did you get to bore on the floor?
I couldn't believe that was happening.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for Greg and Tom and the CEO guy. I mean, like none of them deserved that. But like I loved the moment that came afterwards where Greg was like, hey, thank you, man, for not ratting me, like
right.
Tom easily could have and just stopped all of it. But yeah, Tom was a bro in that moment, and I gained a little more respect for Tom. So, and Tom has just had the worst marriage possible so far. Like Shiv is just cheating on him and he knows it.
You can't make a Tomlet without cracking a few Gregs.
That's a good one. That's nice.
Have you not heard that on the show yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it happened already. I don't know. Maybe I missed it. But yeah, I'm starting to feel bad for Tom, even though he's been a piece of crap sometimes.
Yeah, it's not very healthy.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Greg, though, speaking of Greg, he got a great, kind of ending to season 1 where he came to Kendall and was like,
I have this.
I have the information. You should keep me in a good spot.
Yeah.
Love that for Greg. And yeah, love that he got a new apartment that Ken is just kind of like letting him live in with parties and whatnot. And yeah, he's doing good for himself. And yeah, so curious to see the rest of season 2. Yeah.
You're gonna like it.
That's all I watched this week.
Nice.
Yeah, yep. But yeah, that's our show this week. Thank you for listening. And you will probably be watching if you're a video watcher next week. But yeah, if you want to listen to us in the future, we release usually on Fridays or Saturdays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Podbean. And if you want to support us and give us a follow, we are on social medias like Instagram and YouTube and TikTok. You can find us on YouTube by typing in Last Week This Week Pod, all one word. And if you want to support us one other way, we'd always appreciate a like, a comment, a rating, a review, or a subscribe.
Yeah. I'd love any of those.
Any of that.
Literally any of it.
Your support means the world to us, everyone. Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
And until next time.